First, before we get into the details of the Aruba EdgeConnect SD-WAN fabric, I think I want to start with one of the components first, which is Microbranch. Just to clarify, so EdgeConnect Enterprise, right, continues to run EdgeConnect OS, ECOS, right? SD branch, same thing. Microbranch, the change here is that we're taking an access point, a remote access point for a kiosk or someone working from home, and it's an upgrade for the 300 series or higher to AOS 10 to enable SD-WAN functionality in the access point. So that SD-WAN functionality being things like integrating with having the same services that SD branch appliances do in terms of automating tunnel connectivity and routing to the Microbranch appliances from VPNCs or hubs.
What's CCOS?
Oh, EdgeConnect OS, ECOS.
That's, ECOS.
Yeah, yeah. ECOS is the operating.
So that's the Silver Peak.
That's the
piece.
Silver Peak
Gotcha.
technology.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's the Silver Peak software running on what's now called an EdgeConnect Enterprise appliance. But there's been no change to the software running on the box. But for the Microbranch, it's not just a rebranding. It's a software upgrade to a newer version from Instant AP typically to AOS 10 to enable that functionality. So,
is this different from the Net Connect or what is
NetConductor.
NetConductor?
Or
Yeah.
is this NetConductor?
NetConductor is another layer on top of this. So NetConductor is the ability to go into Central and define a single, role-to-role security policy, which then can be pushed out to multiple devices.
Right.
So whether that's a Microbranch, an SD branch device, and so on.
But doesn't it also handle the VXLAN and EVPN, or does this do that?
So yes, it does. That can be one component of it. So NetConductor will handle role-to-role policies for campus switching environments using group policy tag and VXLAN headers, right? But it will also handle policies for Microbranch sites, for example, right? For mobile and so on. Because ultimately the authentication is coming from ClearPass, right? Network access control. So in the campus switching environment, the switch, sends radius requests to the ClearPass server. ClearPass says this is the role for this user, this flow or whatnot, and then that role, the switch adds that GPID or to the VXLAN header, and then sends it on to, in this case, the EdgeConnect Enterprise appliance. It recognizes it. It carries that across the SD-WAN fabric to another site. If we need to go location to location, de-encapsulates it, sends it out to the switch.
So just so I'm getting this right in my head. So the NetConductor, its main goal is to easily distribute policy across your WAN, across your infrastructure. And then, so the Enterprise Connect, this is more for not policy as much as networking, routing, and things like that. Is that okay? Okay.
Precisely.
So this is on the network layer as opposed to like the security or policy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is why I think I'm going to shake up the order of things here. So yes, NetConductor is about centralizing and orchestrating role or identity-based security policies. So getting out of having to segment based upon VLANs per se, or setting up role policies gateway by gateway, and having a single screen or a tab where you can configure that for an entire deployment. Right. So the Aruba EdgeConnect SD-WAN fabric is this today. Right? So we have our 4 form factors, or 4 types of gateways, on-ramps, if you will. mobile, microbranch, SD-branch, and enterprise, right? They're all suitable for different use cases, and we want to allow the customer to decide what makes the most sense to them for a given type of location. There is integration that exists today. So we have customers who have deployed enterprise appliances and SD-branch appliances in their hubs and have just configured BGP between them, right? And they're exchanging routes, and they're kind of separate fabrics entirely, separate routing domains, tunnel domains, if you would. You have could be a 7000 series controller, which is building tunnels to microbranch, SD-branch, and mobile, and then the enterprise appliance, which is building its business intent overlay tunnels to other enterprises out in the world. There's some integration today, which I'll show you between Aruba Central and Aruba Orchestrator from a visibility and monitoring perspective. So the solution exists today. Like we do have validated solutions and architectures to help folks integrate the two, but there's some some automation, some ease that's missing from this. So we're taking the first steps on our journey towards providing a more unified experience. And so what that looks like is, some of you may have seen in the keynote today, is EdgeConnect enterprise gateways acting as hubs, building tunnels to mobile, microbranch, and SD-branch appliances, and normal business intent overlays out to enterprise appliances as well. And Aruba Central is kind of indicated with the green icons here and up at the hubs. Aruba Central handling the orchestration of building tunnels and exchanging routes between all of these form factors. So what that means, under the hood on the enterprise appliance is that we're adding some codes and logic, which basically just an agent which allows it to talk to the AOS devices, adding understanding into the enterprise code of the OAP routing protocol, which is used across the SD-branch and microbranch fabrics today. But the user experience will be really straightforward. So go into Central, generate an API token. This is something that folks are already doing today for the visibility linkage, right? Pop that API token, or API credentials, I should say, into Aruba Orchestrator. And then any enterprise gateway, which is marked as a hub, Aruba Orchestrator, so previously Silverpick technology gateway, will become available to be used as a VPNC if a customer wants to, right? So just like they would configure VPNC groups today, and they might pick a 7200 series gateway or a 9000 series gateway as the VPNC, they will have the enterprise appliances available for them to select from that list.
What's OAP routing protocol?
Ah, okay.
What that is.
Okay, that is the...
Assume I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because you're probably, I don't.
Yeah. So we're all familiar with BGP, OSPF, and so on. You guys have sat through many of these sessions with various SD-WAN vendors out there. In Silver Peak technology world, we came up with our own homegrown routing protocol that we called subnet sharing, which was just about exchanging routes between enterprise peers across the business intent overlay fabric.
And what does OAP stand for?
OAP is the, I think it's overlay access protocol. Okay. It's the homegrown routing protocol for SD-branch and now for microbranch.
It's kind of a way to populate and kind of give intelligence across the network to know where different networks are, how to get there, but it's your own version of
Yes. Yeah.
like OSPF or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's very similar to OSPF, architecturally speaking. So the changes that will be made to the enterprise appliance is to make it understand OAP. So there'll be an agent runs on the enterprise appliance. We slap a new administrative distance on that OAP protocol so that we can seamlessly redistribute routes in and out of the different form factors.
So the upgrade to the wraps to OS 10 is because OS 10 now supports OAP, and so that way you can.
Yeah. There's two parts to this. So this is basically the customer experience, right? If you want to enable enterprise hubs to stitch together all the form factors into a fabric for you, right? And that's something that we're working on. We're working through, right? So this is it's still in development. You saw a preview of it earlier. The Microbranch functionality on its own just requires an upgrade to AOS 10. That's available today. So two different things. One thing that we've already released is adding SD-WAN functionality into Microbranch, automating building that connectivity up to hubs, automating building connectivity out to Zscaler, cloud security services, and what we're working on coming soon is stitching together the fabric amongst the different form factors. The internal workings of that, the Aruba Orchestrator authenticates with Central. Central sends the Orchestrator management certs, right? Those certs get pushed out to the enterprise hubs, which enables the enterprise hubs to open their web sockets to Aruba Central and its orchestration services. And then Aruba Central is able to push out tunnel config and exchange routing updates at regular frequencies, and the enterprise appliance receives that tunnel config and it builds tunnels out to the various form factors. And obviously Central is also continuing to do what it does today and providing that same orchestration for AOS 10 devices.
So you would have separate APIs for different groups of devices, or just all your devices would use the same API so that they're. When you add a device to Central, it's not enough for it just to be in Central and say, this is mine, right? You have to use the APIs you said earlier. You have to create a token, or I thought you had something on the screen about.
Oh, it was the step one.
So that's just step one to enable the integration between the enterprise orchestrator and its existing fabric and then Aruba Central. And from that point, so that's just a one-time thing that you do when you set it up.
So, okay, so I missed the orchestrator.
Yeah.
That's a separate piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The orchestrator is the management, monitoring, visibility platform for the former Silver Peak technology. Whereas Central, right, is management, monitoring, visibility for the entire Aruba portfolio, and enterprise is very much being integrated into that step by step. So the experience after the API credentials are exchanged and the orchestrator is authenticated with Central is somebody just goes to, administrator goes to a drop-down list in their group VPNC configuration and selects the enterprise appliance. Every other aspect of the configuration in Central is the same. And the only difference from the user experience is that they're selecting a different device. That's it. So there's no retraining, recertification that has to be done to figure out how to make it work. It's just select a different device. We've taken care of the automation. That's it. And it also doesn't require, from a user perspective, any changes on the enterprise appliances, right? Or, within the Aruba Enterprise Orchestrator, you don't have to change any configuration there to make it work. So it's not like this big, re-architecture, redesign, and overhaul process that you'll have to go through to make it work. And that's our intention, is we want folks to be able to seamlessly slot this in, so that they can, start to mix and match. Because maybe you don't need an enterprise appliance everywhere, right? Maybe you have some sites, customer that has contact center users at home, right? Maybe thousands of them. Most of them are going to have Microbranch devices. Right. Maybe there are a couple of folks out there who have really, really poor connectivity in remote areas, right? Maybe they need the advanced business intent overlay, link bonding, and path conditioning capabilities that platform has. So maybe for those folks, the 50 out of 1,000, you deploy enterprise appliances. This workflow, this mechanism is intended to make that easy and simple. One of the new SD-WAN capabilities of Microbranch is the ability to automate connectivity to SSEs, to cloud security services. So I just wanted to really quickly show you what that experience is like in Aruba Central. Okay, so Central dashboard. First thing that we're going to do is go into network services, and we have a Cloud Connect section here. And we have our various cloud services that we've introduced automation for, Zscaler being one of them. You can see that we've already enabled Zscaler orchestration for several of the groups within our deployment. And I can show you a list of all those groups. Groups, in a way being administrative groups for different types of appliances, so different deployments of gateways, perhaps in different regions, different business units, each with their own set of common configuration. So maybe if you wanted to have separate SD-WAN fabrics or separate Microbranch deployments, you would put them in separate groups. I go under settings here and accounts, go over to Zscaler, right? You can see that we've just populated our Zscaler account information here. And we go out to one of our branch sites and take a look at our access point config. You can see we've very simply gone into policy-based routing. And in this case, set up a really simple policy to send all traffic, or all internet destined traffic, up to Zscaler. And the results of that first step of popping in the account credentials and associating it with a group is reflected on our topology screen here, where you can see that this Microbranch device, or this access point that you saw in the group list, has tunnels that were automatically built to 2 different Zscaler hubs. So my friend and colleague Samuel Perez has this site set up actually at his parents' house, I believe. So he's got their internet breakout traffic going either to the Madrid or Marseille Zscaler Zens, depending upon performance. And you can see in the diagram also their connectivity up to the VPNCs. But that's just one of the elements of automation and SD-WAN functionality added to MB.
What's Zscaler?
What's Zscaler? I just heard about them too. I know Zscaler is a cloud security service. So part of our SASE story, one of several partners that we work with.
So their traffic is going through Zscaler to the rest of the internet. So kind of being inspected and okay.
Yeah, exactly.
The reason I'm asking is I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so you have in Central, you're saying these are services we want to deploy across our WAN. So
Yeah.
we're going to create this connection. So I'm assuming if you're, well, in this case, you're saying, I guess, all our traffic, we got Zscaler, we're using it, all our corporate traffic is going to go through Zscaler.
Yeah.
So no matter where you are, if you're using our, VIA or a RAP, or if you're at a site connected, as soon as your data goes out, your EdgeConnect gateway, it's immediately being pumped into Zscaler, and then from there, it goes out to wherever you want it to go. So you're basically you're automating the distribution of Zscaler throughout your whole.
Well, you certainly could. If our network architect decided that that's how they wanted to do things, then yeah, absolutely, they could backhaul all of their traffic to a hub and.
But you could also
send
do
out.
it by roles or whatever, and say anytime somebody in this role, all their
Yeah.
traffic goes through Zscaler. If they're in this role, then they have free access to it.
Yeah.
But you can automate it through this.
And so like role-based policies.
Yeah.
That's something that could be used in the architecture that you described, or that could be used with this more distributed architecture where the microbranch device, the access point itself, is building tunnels directly to Zscaler. So there's no backhauling to to an Aruba device sitting in a data center here.
Right. It's all straight from the device to the cloud,
Yes.
based on whatever policies you've defined here.
Yes.
Okay.
Precisely.
So not only that, but what we do is we automate the tunnel creation between that device and the closest Zscaler enforcement point,
Yeah.
and also the second closest, so you have a backup. So
Right.
Zscaler is one of many of the different cloud-delivered security providers. They have about 150 locations around the world in major metropolitan areas. You want to hit the one as close to you as possible so the latency is as low as possible.
Right.
And they tend to be located in the same data centers as AWS and Azure and Salesforce.com and Concur and common SaaS apps. By keeping that distance as short as possible, I get the best application response, I get the best user experience. So the real magic here is using geolocation information to automatically figure out where the closest one and second closest is, and automatically configure that IPsec tunnel, secure tunnel, into Zscaler.
Yeah, that's right. So
So if you're on a VIA client or a RAP and it's tunneled to a controller somewhere, it's not the data's not going to the tunnel to the controller. You can actually create a tunnel out and
Straight
say,
from
okay,
the
don't
RAP.
send it to the controller, go directly out
Yep.
from here. Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
Gotcha.
This isn't a drawing. This is a representation of the tunnels that are built. In this case, over a single internet circuit from this access point.
Right.
So these are both tunnels directly to Zscaler from the access point, and then tunnels to our self-managed corporate hubs.
I'm just trying to get clarification on what it's actually doing so I can wrap my head around it.
To add another question to this while you're on this, is it possible for the microbranch to have multiple WAN connections
You can add an LTE connection to it.
as a backup or bonded?
It's backup. Today, it's a backup connection. So it's like a standby failover. If your broadband link goes down, then it will spin up the tunnel over LTE.
When it fails over to the LTE in that case, imagine like a retail scenario. Could I prioritize one user type over the other, say only my payment services can go over, but any guest Wi-Fi would now be disabled?
I don't know the answer to that one. Yeah.
I imagine you could do it.
Yeah, I would think so. But in a retail location, if resiliency was critical, if redundancy was like fast redundancy was required, you would probably want to deploy at least an SD-branch appliance, right? Whereas probably for most home users, a single link is going to be okay unless it goes down, and taking seconds, 10 seconds plus to spin up another tunnel is going to be acceptable in that case. But again, it's the whole point of introducing this this fabric connectivity automation between the form factors is that if that's not the case for someone's business or for a certain section of those users or group of those users that are working from home, then you could deploy SD-Branch or Enterprise if you're looking for super high quality. So other thing that is available today is monitoring and visibility integration between Aruba Orchestrator and Central. So you see here the Aruba Orchestrator, which is the Silver Peak technology, right? Formerly known, managing what was formerly known as EdgeConnect appliances. Now we're calling them EdgeConnect Enterprise, and Aruba Central. And you can see that in Orchestrator, we've gone in and configured, just our central account, all the credentials I was talking about earlier. So the first step towards building the automated connectivity between the sites, we've done that already, and we're using it to provide visibility. So someone inputs that account information, and all of the appliances that are in the enterprise fabric are made available for Central to monitor. And there's a mapping, but basically any site in Central with a matching address to an appliance in Orchestrator will auto-connect with each other, and if we see an alarm or a problem at a particular location, it will show up. So you can see we have some filters in here for EdgeConnect status, EdgeConnect alarms. If I look at it in list view, I can see the status of the EdgeConnect appliances at each of these sites. I saw one earlier that didn't look too good. I was hoping, well, I'm glad it's looking good now. But no, if really? Yeah, for the demo it would have been great, but I'm glad that that site is back up. This is actually a field lab that former Silver Peak SEs set up with, I guess now about 120 sites. So it's actually appliances at people's houses, mostly SEs and solutions architects and whatnot, and almost everyone is running some form of real traffic through it, whether it's all of their internet traffic or part of it. So what you just saw me do there, and I'm going to go back to show this again, is say I clicked on Amityville here, and this was bad, or alarms would state alarms and would be red. I could click on that, and it would immediately cross-link into the Aruba Orchestrator and the alarms page, highlight the appropriate appliances, and show me what's going on.